Hey students, it's Mr. Volkman for another flipped video lesson. This is for chapter 1.2, and the goal of this video is for you to learn a basic understanding and knowledge of the 5 major regions of Washington State. Someone would like to say hello though before I start the video, so I'm gonna let him talk for like 5 seconds. Let's make it 3 seconds. All right, here you go.
Hey guys, it's Mr. Mint. Remember, this is an academic video, not a video used for entertainment purposes, so please make sure you're in a spot where you can give your full attention to the video. Also, don't be afraid to hit that pause button. You know, the one with the 2 lines and the red circle. Yeah, that one. And don't forget, you can rewind the video if you miss something that you want to write down or put in your outline, which I'm sure Mr. Volkman is going to tell you about. Is that good, Mr. Volkman? Am I done? Yeah, Mr. Mint, you're done. Okay. I think it was longer than 5 seconds.
I'm back. Thanks, Mr. Mint. All right, so let's get right to it. I've used already a minute of your time. So, Washington State is a member of 2 clubs. 2. First off, it is a member, here we go, of the Pacific Northwest. As you can see, here is the Pacific Northwest throughout our state, country, and continent. It's also a member of the Pacific Rim. The Pacific Northwest is made up of Washington State, Oregon State, Idaho, parts of British Columbia, and depending who you talk with, parts of Montana as well. We are part of the Pacific Northwest because we share common physical, political, and economic features. For example, we all have mountains, rivers, evergreen forests, valleys, and dry grasslands. We are also part of the Pacific Rim. The Pacific Rim are countries that border the Pacific Ocean. All these countries are really easy to trade with because we share a common ocean as well. Each country makes something that another country in the Pacific Rim wants. For example, us right up here in Washington State, we have Boeing, which makes airplanes, and those airplanes get shipped to other places around the world, and then we get things back from them. We also ship lumber, for example. All right, we now know that Washington State is part of 2 groups, but let's specifically now look at the regions inside Washington State, and there are 5. There's the Coastal Range, the Puget Sound Lowlands, the Cascade Range, the Columbia Plateau, and the Rocky Mountains. Take a look here at this web. This is a region web, and you're going to use this to take outline notes on these 5 different regions as I continue through the video. You may notice that some of them will be hard to fill out, and that's okay if some of them are blank, because you can use the textbook tomorrow in class to fill in what you can't get through this video. But you can also do research online as well. So please pause the video and copy this region map either on 5 different pages or split one page in half to have 2 webs. So pause the video, please. I'm back. All right, I'm going to talk about the Coastal Range now, guys. The Coastal Range is in the western part of our state, as you can see in this map. This map here shows you part of the Olympic Peninsula, which is inside of the Coastal Range. You may notice you recognize some of the names, like Port Townsend and Port Angeles. The Coastal Range is made up of, first off, our rainforest in the Olympic Peninsula. It has snow-capped mountains. The Olympic Peninsula with the rainforest, it is a temperate rainforest. There is very little industry in the Coastal Range, namely because commercial fishing is on the decline, and because we have a national forest, cutting down trees for lumber is no longer allowed. So it relies mainly on tourism because there's very little industry there in the Coastal Range. Next up, we have the Puget Sound Lowlands. As you can see, here's the Puget Sound Lowlands. We actually live in the lowlands. Puget Sound Lowlands, as you can see from this picture, we have plains, flat land, very fertile, good for farming. We have valleys. Some of the valleys that you may have heard of, we have Skagit Valley, the Cowlitz Valley, and the Chehalis River Valley. Again, lots of fertile land in these areas where there's lots of farm industry. We have the deep water ports, which we have one close to us, plus in Seattle, which allows for lots of trading and business, a lot of international business as well. The Puget Sound Lowlands is also the population center of our state. The majority of people of our state live in this region. In fact, the highest per capita income level in the country is in here. So that means if you take a square mile and look at the amount of money people make in this area, they make the most money in the Puget Sound Lowlands per mile. All right, let's go to the next one. The Cascade Range. Cascade Range here, as you can guess, is made up of the Cascade Mountain Range, right here in the middle of our state. The Cascade Mountain Range has many volcanic peaks, has glaciers. Some of the major volcanic peaks that we have would be Mount Baker, Glacier Peak, Mount Rainier, Mount Adams, and Mount St. Helens. You actually will be mapping these when you're watching State Map tomorrow in class. The Cascade Mountain Range and the Cascade region has a huge effect on the weather of our state. Remember we talked about the warm air that gets pushed off the ocean, which creates our temperate climate? Well, because of the mountains, when the clouds hit those mountains, they get pushed over the mountains. Whoa! And as they get pushed over the mountains, they drop water. And they drop their moisture so they can get lighter and go higher and higher. So when they go over the mountains, oh, there's my hand, sorry guys. When it goes over the mountains, there's no water, no precipitation for the clouds to drop. So the western side, this side of the mountains, is a lot wetter as opposed to this side of the mountains, where it's a lot drier. If that doesn't make sense, talk to me tomorrow and I can explain it with a diagram in class. The Cascade Range is also called a barrier to commerce. Think about that. Why would it be called a barrier to commerce? A barrier is like a wall. Pause the video for a second to think about why it would be called that. All right. The Columbia Plateau. The Columbia Plateau has grassland, but also has sagebrush as well, as you can see from this picture. So it has a wide variety of geography. The plateau is a very big region, as you can see from our map. It's made up of a very high, flat plateau that actually stretches across a few different states. It's not just in Washington. It includes the wheat-growing Palouse area, where Wazoo is. It also has fruit-bearing trees. Spokane is a center of commerce. There's not a lot of big cities in the Columbia Plateau. So if there's any big industry or business, it goes through Spokane. A question I'd like you to think about. Why does Puget Sound attract more people than the Columbia Plateau? Please pause the video and think about this, please. Last region, which would be the Rocky Mountain region. As you can see, Rocky Mountain region is right here, the northeast corner of our state. Now, even though it's called the Rocky Mountain region, the Rocky Mountains do not come into here. It is the foothills of the Rockies that come into our state, as you can see from the pictures here. And because of these steep foothills, the area is not heavily populated, so it relies on ranching kind of farming, tourism, and mining, and they mine zinc and lead. Thank you for watching Chapter 1.2. If there are items on your outline you were able to find, please rewind the video, watch parts of it again. If you're not able to find certain things, it's okay. You'll be able to read it through in the text. Here is a link for Quizlet for Chapter 1. I'd like you to at least practice a little bit of it for the vocab for Chapter 1. Thank you, and I'll see you in class tomorrow.